Have you been thinking about opening a bank account overseas, but think that it's going to take you too much time? Today, I'm going to tell you how to do it in just one day. Hi, my name is Rusudan. I'm a CFO at Nomad Capitalist, where we help high net worth individuals legally reduce their taxes, get second citizenships, and go where you're treated best. So in today's world, banking has become something that is very important, and it's especially important if you want to diversify your assets and also get to know new opportunities for your investments. But it is difficult to open bank accounts, especially when you're doing that from one country in another. But in today's video, I'm going to tell you how you can do that in just one day. And the answer to that is you skip remote bank account opening and just visit the bank. This helps you save some time and also be even more prepared for the documents that you have to provide for the banks. What I would advise is by starting the process with getting the document list from the bank. It is very important to get the clear requirements from any bank that you're going to be working with and prepare everything in advance. In some banks, you can even book an appointment, which is very helpful. But even if you cannot book an appointment, it's really easy to visit the bank and get the number and wait for the operator or the person that's going to be helping you. So I think that in general, it's the fastest way to open a bank account compared to remote opening, where if you're lucky, you have to send the scanned copies, and if you're less lucky, then they need the original documents for everything. So it takes definitely more time. We are talking weeks, if not even months, depending on the jurisdiction. But with the bank visit, you can go to the bank in one day, prepare everything in advance, take the documents with you, and open the bank account in just one day. The first thing that you have to think about is choose the right location. So any location and any bank that's a financial hub, rather easy to open the bank account in. For example, like Singapore, Hong Kong, Switzerland, or Cayman Islands, or maybe some less known jurisdictions, like for example here in Georgia, you can go to the bank and literally open the bank account in one day, and the account and online banking, everything is ready for you. The most important thing here is to have all the documents. The first thing that you need to have, of course, is the passport that has to be valid. You also need a utility bill or bank statement to prove your address, and this is in case you have it in foreign language, you have to translate it to the local language or to English, and also make sure that the translation it's translated by a certified translator, or in some countries it needs to be notarized. So depending on where you're getting the document from, make sure that it's certified or notarized. One other thing that you need most certainly is the proof of wealth and or source of your income. So if we're talking about personal bank account, you need to have like an employment agreement and show that you have the income, or you have to show that you are getting some dividends, or what's your source of income. If it's a bank statement, you need it's definitely better to have the original from your bank that's stamped. If it's any other document like the agreement or something else, you can get a copy that's also notarized. So I would advise to make sure that any document that's not the original is notarized or certified by a professional. This really depends on the country that you're opening the bank account in. They have their own requirements. So some countries recognize some notaries in different countries, some don't. So make sure that the country of your document and the country of the bank are working together and making sure that the documents are recognized in both. In some countries, you need to have a local address, so make sure that you have some kind of a rental or some other address that you can indicate in the forms for the bank to show that you have a local address for mailing or something like that. So in most cases, based on my experience, it's just a formality because the bank has to indicate that there's a local address for the person here in the country. Additionally, I would advise to check the forms in advance for the bank that you're opening, because there are some documents that you need to bring with you and some documents that you have to fill in while you're at the bank. And mostly all these questions and everything are pretty similar. They do not change much from one bank to another or from one country to another. You have to prove your ID, you have to provide information about the wealth or the source of income, you have to prove your like physical address, you have to show your tax residence situation, so where you are paying your taxes. If there's anything that you think you're going to be needing to reply to those questions, like ordinary KYC questions, like you have to prepare that in advance. One important thing about opening a bank account is to set up an online banking, because I'd imagine you'll be traveling or not be in that country throughout the year, so it's important to have access to online banking and the features that the bank provides. So in some cases, to have access to online banking, you need a local SIM card to get the verification codes. So I would advise to make sure that you have a local SIM card when you are going to the bank, so that they can help you set up the online banking. There's usually like one-time codes or like a initial setup that you have to do, and it's better done at the bank. One other thing that you have to make sure is, while you are setting up the online banking, you indicate your device as a trusted device, or like there are different names to this, but the idea is that you don't need the verification codes next time you're logging in, because you may not be in the country, or your SIM card may not be on, and you may not be using it for any other purposes. So it's important to make sure that you have access to your online banking even without the SIM card. So in some countries you don't even need a SIM card. It's like mostly like soft tokens where you have a verification application or something like that. So it's very easy to do that. But you need to know exactly how that bank is working with the verifications. It is definitely easy to open a bank account one day when you're visiting the bank, because you're there and you have all the documents with you, and it's easier to fill in the forms, because you sometimes have some questions when you're remotely opening it and you need to email somebody, and that's all cut when you're in person. You can just ask the person and make sure that you have the information. There are still some challenges, and the first challenge I would think about is, when you're there, you may need some document that wasn't previously asked, or the banks always have like a list of specific documents, but at the end it says like, or anything else, or like it's something additional, and something additional based on your specific situation can be some document that needs some time to be prepared. So I would still make sure that ask the question of what I need in like 5 times, to make sure that you get all the possible scenarios and you are ready for everything. One other challenge I would say is like a language barrier, because I assume that you would be opening a bank account in a country that's like a financial hub, so English is of course spoken everywhere, but there is still how things are translated, or the forms or the names of the documents are sometimes translated or understood in a different way, so it can be a bit challenging. For example, I've had cases where I went to a bank that's very like in Singapore, everybody spoke English, but it was still a bit of a like adjustment to understand exactly what kind of document or what the exact question was about in the KYC or some like AML compliance forms or something like that. What is also very important, if you're going to the bank, make sure that you don't have anything else planned in that day, because even if you have an appointment or something, when you're a foreigner, sometimes they need to take the documents and check something and then come back and ask additional questions. So it's a whole day process, I would say. Like, I've had cases where you open it in like a couple of hours, or at the very least, your part was done in a couple of hours. You just go in, fill in the form, leave the document, and then they just email you or text you or something and say that, okay, it's ready. And you don't need to come back, or sometimes you need to come back to get the cards. But I would still not plan anything in the next few hours, just to make sure that you are fully committed to getting everything done that the bank needs. One important detail that you have to keep in mind is if there's an initial deposit that you need to keep. This differs from bank to bank, so make sure that you know exactly how much money you need to have in your bank account. And also some banks offer services where if you keep a bit of a higher deposit, you don't have any fees to pay for your incoming or outgoing payments, or maybe you don't have a maintenance fee. So this is something that I think that is worth looking into and being prepared for. Now, one other thing regarding the initial payment is the banks always want to know where the money is coming from. So you have to indicate exactly which bank account, preferably your bank account, your other bank account you're sending the money from, and get the the account number, etc. So to indicate exactly, so this is the money, this is the bank account I'm going to be paying from, and the bank in advance knows to expect the payment from this bank account. So it makes everything a bit easy. I think that with banking, transparency is key. And being prepared is key in regards to having the document. So there may be lots of questions, and usually, like I've had cases where I had, I don't know, 50-page, 70-page KYC forms to fill in for just one bank account. But as long as you have the information, as long as you keep the documents, it definitely goes a long way with opening a bank account. I think that it was a very short and informative video, and you understood everything about what kind of documents you need, and maybe it seems very clear on what you need to do. But I would still advise to get a professional help, because when you're working from one country to another, there are still some unpredictable circumstances that you can be in, and it's important to be prepared. If you need help opening a bank account overseas, go to nomadcapitalist.com.